Good evening. My name is Bill Jones. I'm the Vice President of the Speedway Redevelopment Commission. I'd like to call this meeting of the regular session meeting of the Redevelopment Commission to order here on November the 20th at 6 p.m. I'd like to do a roll call of the commission members. Vince Noblet is not present tonight. He is ill. Tom Popcheff?
Here.
Gordon Rundle?
Here.
Rhonda Schwartz?
Here.
Dr. Terry Reed?
Here.
And I am Bill Jones. Also present tonight is Tim Gropp, our Executive Director, Tim Ramium, our Administrative Assistant, and Tim Jensen, the President of Veritas Group. I'd like to offer public comments to anybody that wishes to address the Redevelopment Commission. Seeing none, we'll move on. Next item agenda is the consent of meeting minutes for the regular session of October the 23rd, 2017. These minutes have been previously distributed. Without objection, if there are no objections, we'll accept the minutes as they were submitted.
No objection.
Those minutes are then approved. Approval of claims. Is there a motion?
Just a couple quick notes on those before you do that. You'll see the 330, which came out of TIF, which is the acquisition of real property. INDOT, there was $10,717. That was, what was that? Additional expense. There was an add-on at 16th and Lyndhurst, and that was our portion, our local match portion, to fix the concrete at the eastbound turn lane. So wanted to note that.
So do they have an idea when that project will be done?
It is supposed to be open,
December
officially
1st,
December 1st. They're hoping a little sooner than that, if not by the weekend, but the official date is December 1st.
Okay.
And then the B&O walking path, 6,911. There's two lines that currently go over Main Street, IPL lines. We want to make sure those get buried. One of them's with the Wilshaw project. This is for the B&O trail. There was an additional expense, and that's our portion for that. Since we're paying the match for the B&O trail, that came to us.
Okay.
So,
Any other questions about the claims?
No, Mr. Vice President, I'd like to move that we accept the Register of Claims for the period of October 21st through November 17th, 2017, as submitted.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second for the approval of claims, we'll put that to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Project updates. Mr. Gropp, you want to run through these?
sure. Wilshaw project, we have officially closed on the property portion of that. I just want to make a note that the town no longer owns that lot at the corner of 16th and Main, so please don't park there. It is no longer a public lot. We have put up some barricades, and they should start construction anytime. Not construction, but demo work, actually, so that should clear up pretty soon, but you'll very shortly see some fencing going up, erosion control. They'll start tearing out the asphalt and moving the water line. IPL should be out there shortly as well. Beyond that, we're working towards closing on the bonds now. We hope to do that by the end of the year still. We're working out details on that, and we've worked hastily to provide as much additional parking on Main Street as possible. Some of that's getting cleaned up today. We've demoed 1346. We purchased 1330. We've paved both of those today. We still got to stripe them and get them ready, but those should be open soon. And 1426 is ready for demo. It's scheduled to go down December 1st or 2nd. And then depending on weather and asphalt, tentatively they're saying they're closing the asphalt plants December 15th, but that's always weather dependent and everything else. So if we can get that demoed, hopefully we can get it paved before they close that down. So that'll add about 60 spots on Main Street. So we're we're trying to accommodate as much as we can and work with our local businesses. Encourage you to support the restaurants during construction time. It's always a little bit tougher, but we are trying to work with them. We've issued permits to a lot of them. Our strategy is to get their employees off the street and give them spots to park so that Main Street and the side streets and all the closer spots, if you will, are available to the patrons on that northern part of Main Street. So it's working, but there's obviously going to be issues we have to address, and we strongly encourage the restaurants in particular to work with us and help enforcement. Let us know if they see other people not following the rules, and just help us address any issues that come up. We're willing to look at things that come up as we work through this. But hopefully everyone kind of gets used to the new parking configurations, and hopefully the construction period's not too long, and we get the new lot open by the end of next year, hopefully. So
where the Wilshaw will be located, my memory is that there was 52 spots in that area?
It was 55.
are
55?
you talking current or what will be?
Current.
No. Oh, no,
Yeah.
that lot, there was about 64 and 2.
Yeah.
62 and maybe 2.
Just the paved portion was about
Yeah,
60.
just the paved portion.
Okay.
And that's where most of the patrons had parked, up until the point that O'Reilly's and Tacos and Tequila opened up.
Okay,
Then you saw some overflow in the gravel area.
okay.
We also like to know the lot next to USAC that the SRC owns at 15th and Main there is available after 6 p.m. and all weekend. It tends to get ignored a little bit, so we just want to make sure. We added additional signage on Main Street. That was one lot to make it a little more clear, but that lot is available on nights and weekends for patrons as well.
So what about signages on these lots that come available? Are we doing anything to direct the public or residents that go to either those establishments on Main Street to make sure that they're aware that that's public parking?
Yeah, we have an updated parking map that has been uploaded. Our website will be up hopefully in a month or so, but we pushed it out on social media. It's on the Speedway Indiana app. If you download the app, it gives you parking locations. We have ordered and installed some new signage. There's still some to go when these lots get finished up, but it should be pretty clear where the public parking is and where the permit parking lots are as well.
And you talked about enforcement of parking by the restaurant owners. Could you kind of...
Well, the business owners,
Or the business
yeah.
owners. Could you explain kind of how that works and what it is that we're doing to free up those spots on Main Street?
Yeah, so we found some dedicated spots for business owners along Main Street, actually, most of them. We don't have enough spots to give everybody enough permits, so we're doing the best we can to get as many people off the street as possible. So we've issued permits, there's permit numbers, there's day shifts, night shifts, and we're coordinating all that. But we need people to park there. We understand that your employees might have to park a block or two away. It might not be right across the street, might not be the most convenient, but, don't park in front of another business or, don't take the easy route there. It's not asking too much to go a block or so down. So if you see there's some violators of that, please let us know so we can at least approach that business and say, hey, please make sure your employees are going where we've directed them to. So we just want everybody to be respectful during this time because we know it's tougher and there's some stress added to it. So we're trying to just be respectful of everybody and keep the Main Street and the front parking spots open so they can turn over and that people can enjoy our businesses on Main Street.
Yeah, and you're right. Sometimes the parking lot next to the USAC building is underutilized. So I would remind people that that is a really nice parking space, and it's only a short walk to restaurants and businesses.
Yes.
Anything else on Wilshaw?
I think we're good.
Okay. Speedway Marketplace?
Get-Go is open. They haven't had a grand opening or formal announcement, but they've kind of quietly been open, so if you go there, you won't be turned away. I know there's been a lot of questions about when that was formally opening, and they just kind of out of nowhere opened it on a Thursday, so I haven't yet been there, but I hear it's nice, and if there is a formal ribbon cutting or grand opening, we'll be sure to let everybody know. That's it.
Okay. How about the Bixmore project in the Speedway Shopping Center?
They're moving pretty quickly on that. Walls are going up for the Burlington and Ross Dress for Less portion, so everything seems to be on target. We've gotten good feedback on the new facade for TJ Maxx, and we'll keep you posted.
It does look nice, the TJ Maxx building. 2500 North High School Road.
Nothing new on 2500 North High School Road at this time. We do have a couple of proposals for due diligence that we will talk about later on the agenda.
Okay. And finally, Gilman Street update.
Yeah, so we've received the Phase 2 back on Gilman Street. We've received 2 appraisals on Gilman Street, and we have signed an agreement for removal of the dirt on Gilman Street parcel. It's looking now, just because of timing, of course, we don't have rain all summer, and then as soon as we sign a contract, remove the dirt, it rains nonstop, so. And now it's gonna be winter, so chances are that will not get moved till springtime now, is our guess, which is not a big issue. We were just trying to move it and help the trails out, but at this point, it'll actually probably be better for the trails to have that in the springtime, so they can plant grass seed right away and establish that. So there's still a chance some of that could move, but until it dries out and they're able to separate it, there's really not much we can do there. So contract signed, we're ready to go. We have received a formal offer for the property. So we have gone through that process. We have not RFP'd that process, so we'll probably in the next month or two bring a formal RFP or submit a formal RFP on the process to go through the legal steps that are necessary. Not saying we're accepting that offer, but we couldn't, even if we wanted to, we couldn't because we haven't RFP'd the property. Should be noted that Delara Indy Racing Experience does have an option on that would have to go through that as well. So. They have been notified that there was an offer submitted.
Does Delara or any racing experience have a time frame that they have to reply back? Or
Since we received an unsolicited offer as per the EDA, we notified them, and they have 60 days to respond if they're considering using that option.
Okay. So any questions based on Mr. Gropp?
If that option is exercised, we can legally proceed with the negotiations, or do we still have to go through?
We would actually still have to go through the RFP process. No matter what, we need to get, this is kind of, we weren't in a big hurry, but since we've received an offer, it kind of triggered all these steps, so we will have to do the RFP process here shortly,
Okay.
no matter what. So, and again, we don't know what they're going to come back with, if they want to move forward or not. We can RFP it and decide not to do anything, but we have to at least go through the process now.
Mhm.
So, and there's been other interest on the site too, so if we RFP it, there could be several actual offers out there. So, it's a good problem to have, but it also is our last large, it's 2.7 acres, and we just don't have that elsewhere in Speedway, especially near Main Street. So, we'll want to be considerate of what goes there and how we finish off that area.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Item 7 on the agenda is a series of resolutions. The first is Resolution 2017-10, a resolution approving the acquisition of property at 1068 Main Street. This resolution, or actually a discussion on this, was, I believe, held at our last meeting.
Correct. The SRC, this is the property adjacent to Charlie Brown's parking lot owned by Indianapolis Power and Light. We had actually approved this at the last meeting. We decided to go back and pending a formal resolution. We didn't have a resolution prepared, so we decided to go back and formally document it with a resolution. So this is just that resolution authorizing the purchase for the record.
So we have Resolution 2017. Is there a motion on that?
Mr. Vice President, I move that we accept the Resolution 2017-10 to approve the acquisition of property at 1068 Main Street.
I'll second that motion.
So we have a motion and a second on Resolution 2017-10. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Additionally, we have Resolution 2017-11, a resolution approving the parking lease at 4747 West 16th Street. This is the triangle portion of the Wilshaw development.
Yeah, so the triangle portion is not part of the land that we sold for the Wilshaw project. We decided, the SRC had decided previously to maintain ownership of the triangle lot. We had RFP'd it earlier in the year, received no bids, and have come to lease terms with the Wilshaw development to develop that into additional overflow parking for the development. So this is formally approving the parking lease for 4747 West 16th Street, the triangle lot, with Wilshaw LLC.
And is that going to be permitted for their contractors? Is that?
Yeah, they'll be able to use it for staging, and the lease starts immediately. Now, they do have a time frame where they'll have to develop the project, so it's not going to stay undeveloped as a parking lot forever, but
Sure.
it allows them enough time to be able to use it for staging or construction parking or overflow parking during the construction phase, and then be finished off from that point. So there's some flexibility in there. But we did want to make sure in there that at some point it does get paved and developed as it's supposed to.
Sure.
So.
Any other questions on discussion on Resolution 2017-11? Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Vice President, I move that we accept Resolution 2017-11, approving the parking lease for 4747 West 16th Street.
I second the motion.
So I have a motion and a second on Resolution 2017-11. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Resolution 2017-12 is a resolution approving the purchase agreement for 2828 North High School Road. Again, I think this was a part of a discussion that was held at the last meeting. You want to offer some additional details?
Sure. This is, we call it the Roats Building, but 2828 100 North High School Road. We had RFP'd it. We received no formal responses. We waited the 30 days following the state process and received an offer on the property. The SRC considered that offer at the last meeting and authorized us to move forward and create the purchase agreement. We have done that. It's in substantial form. The resolution before you, assuming there's no major changes to the purchase agreement. We got it kind of late, so we're still reviewing everything, but if it's just minor changes, this resolution would authorize the president to sign the lease on behalf of the SRC once all terms are finalized. If there's any major changes, which we don't believe there will be, it would have to come back to the SRC.
Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, is there a motion for Resolution 2017-12?
Mr. Vice President, I move that we accept Resolution 2017-12 approving the purchase agreement for 2828 North High School Road and allowing the president to sign any future changes on that.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
So we have a motion and a second for Resolution 2017-12. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. The resolution opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries 4-0. And finally, Resolution 2017-13 is a resolution approving a lease with Bell Racing Helmets, LLC. And I know the representative from Bell Racing is in the audience tonight. Thanks for coming. Tim, do you want to talk about
Yeah,
that?
so it's been a little while now. Several months ago, we were approached with, actually with the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, had a meeting with Bell Racing that's currently located over in Illinois. I don't remember the exact town now. But they're over in Illinois, and we're looking to locate over in Indiana, looking at several different locations. It's a nice fit, for the motorsports industry here in Speedway. We didn't have necessarily the ideal spot for them, but our thought was we have a lot in motion. There's a lot of redevelopment happening, and maybe we'll have a spot for them soon. So we had floated the idea of them possibly looking, doing a temporary lease in 1426, the Family Physicians Building. So we started heading down that road as I kind of get them here. We'll find them a permanent spot once they're here, but the important part is get them in the community. As that building was getting digged into a little bit more, there were a lot of issues to it. The parking concerns came up and thought that wasn't really the right fit for them. So we felt for the betterment of the community, we needed to tear that building down and make it parking versus do this deal. From that point, we purchased 1330 Main Street, which is a much smaller building. Family Physicians is about 5,600 square feet. 1330 is about 1,100 square feet. But again, to get them in the community for about a year, that 1300 block where we anticipate future redevelopment in that block. However, we need the parking in the interim while they build the Wilshaw lot. So we have this building. We don't necessarily want to tear it down right away. It's a nice fit to get them over from Illinois and lease it for the year. So we adjusted everything and said, you don't have to invest a lot in the building, but here's a building you can have for about 12 months. In the interim, we're going to work with you and try and find you a permanent location here in Speedway. And they seem pretty excited about it. I know the owner was in today, took a look at the building and liked it. They understand it's a temporary lease, and we understand that this buys us a little bit of time to get them here, get them established, and find them a permanent location. I don't know if Mr. Wheeler would like to add anything to that. From that smile, I don't believe he wants to address the public. So.
He's good. 2 thumbs up.
So again, we've put a lease together. We adjusted the 1426 lease to reflect the year long and all it's actually a much simpler lease. They'll take over utilities, be at the building. It'll be nice to have a presence down there. And this is another resolution that it's in substantial form and authorizing the president to sign it when complete.
So, number one, welcome to Indiana, land of lower taxes if you're moving from Illinois.
Speedway resident.
And
Yeah.
good to know that you're a Speedway resident. So, and me personally, I'm excited to have Bell Helmets here in Speedway. Is there any questions or other discussion regarding that lease?
How many employees, at least during this temporary lease arrangement, will be coming to Speedway?
Right now, it looks like it'll be 3 full-time employees.
Okay.
I say full-time because it's our main office. However, myself travels 200-plus days a year. Another one will travel, average about 150 days a year. So while I say it's 3, the chances of all 3 of us being in the same place at the same time are very slim.
But that'll be your primary location of business?
That'll
for
be our
that- for your
primary for this
staff.
division. Of,
Oh, that's
yes,
great.
Absolutely.
Good.
And then when you finally move over, this is about 1,100, you need about 5,000 square feet.
I mean, ideally, right, we need 10, 12,000, but, nothing has failed yet. The work that Mr. Gropp and the town has done to get us to this point is unmatched by anybody else in central Indiana. And so I know that we'll get through it, and it's going to be the best thing that we could do for the company and for all of our, consumers and hopefully for the town.
And for the town as well.
And at full capacity, if everything got moved over, about how many employees would be here?
I mean, we're a pretty decent-sized company now, but with looking into what our future goals are, could be upward of 20 to 25 if everything over time worked out in a perfect world. And that is excluding any, really long-term thoughts and priorities for manufacturing and other processes. So, but yeah, no, Mr. Gropp and like I said, the town have been amazing, and it's been a really enjoyable experience.
Oh, that's great. That's good to hear. Thank you, Tim, and thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Checks in the mail. No, just kidding.
So, hearing no further discussion, is there a motion on Resolution 2017-13?
Mr. Vice President, I move that we accept Resolution 2017-13 approving the lease with Bell Racing Helmets.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
There's a motion and a second for Resolution 2017-13. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed?
I did have one follow-up question. Is a condition of the lease also that Bell Helmets will hold Spam-O-Rama every year? Oh, I think Bourbon Barbecue's taking that over.
Oh, man.
Motion carries 4-0. New business, approval of contract with Veritas Group for development oversight on the Wilshaw project. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, so we have a proposal from Veritas Group to be our owner's rep, if you will, for oversight, making sure that as that project moves forward, I know there's a lot of concern from the community on this, that they're building exactly what they're supposed to build, they're following the plans, they're following the EDA and all the intents through the project. So we didn't want to approve this until we actually had the deal done, which we all know took many months. But we're there now, and so it's time to consider this contract with Veritas Group. It'll be principal, which is Tim Jensen here, and then David Rainey, who is his chief owner's rep person for the firm. Do a great job for us, and have full faith they'll keep an eye on the project, make sure that we're getting the best product possible for Speedway. And I don't know if Tim wants to add anything to that, but
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, sitting Mr. President. So we obviously have a master services agreement with you guys, and this is just another work order that falls underneath it. We're doing this in probably 4 communities right now on other projects, and so this is just an extension of what we do. So David will be on site no less than once a week at the weekly construction meetings. He'll be the liaison between the developers and the town staff, so Wendell and John and all those guys and Tim. They don't have to be out there every other day looking at stuff. Clearly, John has his role as far as the building inspection goes. But when it becomes issues with cutting in the street or bringing in cranes or whatever it is, traffic shutdowns and things like that, David will be the main liaison between town staff and the construction team on site. So, and then we're going to be monitoring parking as well as on Main Street, right? We've told them that there's no parking on Main Street for any of their construction vehicles, no deliveries on Main Street. So we'll be continuing that conversation with them on a weekly basis to making sure they understand that that parking is sacred and specifically for the businesses of Main Street. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So one of your principals in your company has been active on the parking committee, correct?
Correct. That is David, same person.
So you obviously, and I'm just repeating things that many people know, but obviously your company is aware of the parking issues, and I'm sure that's why you reemphasize that point.
Yes, of course. I mean, Mr. Grupp's already brought it up a couple of times this evening with the Wilshaw project. As we know, the community's been concerned, and we've been concerned, the project team's been concerned about parking throughout the whole thing. And so David is the same individual who was on the parking committee with you, knowing that this was a logical next step for the commission. So David not only is aware of the parking issue, but also knows where all the alternative spaces are, and he's been working with Mr. Grupp on a weekly basis to get those ironed out.
David's the one that created the updated parking map and has been working with us on the layouts of these new lots as well to maximize the amount of spots. So he's been involved for longer than I've been here.
Yeah, and I'd also like to add that even prior to Mr. Grupp's arrival to Speedway, I had personally worked with David on the parking committee and the other committee members, and is very detailed. So I'm very encouraged to hear that you're going to assign him to carry a majority of the load.
Yeah, David is the most detailed person in our firm, way more than I am myself. So there will be no shortage of notes and inspections and weekly updates coming and monthly updates coming to this commission. Right. So,
yep. And as Tim mentioned, John Merritt, our inspector and handling permits, will be on site all the time as they're pouring and doing foundations and everything else and doing inspections. And, Wendell and his team will also be out there coordinating traffic, because there will be spots where we have to close down a lane or make a cut in the road. So we'll have everybody, all hands on deck, but David will be the coordinator between all that.
And he's done a great job in the past with the Speedway Marketplace project. So is there a motion for the approval of the contract with the Veritas Group?
Yeah, Mr. Vice President, I would like to make a motion to accept the work order under the Master Services Agreement with Veritas Group for development oversight of the Wilshaw project.
Is there a second?
A second to motion.
Any other discussion? So, all those in favor of approval of the contract with the Veritas Group for development oversight signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next new business is approval of contract for demolition 4940 Crawfordsville Road.
So when we had gotten the previous demo quotes, we also got them for what we commonly call the Zellman property on Crawfordsville Road, next to the parking lot on turn 1, if you will, the little gas station we have there. We had held off on approving this one at the last meeting because we had found an oil tank that hadn't been removed. This property is being remediated through insurance, so they wanted to investigate that first. It's come back that they will remove that oil tank through the insurance, but we weren't sure if the oil tank was under the building or not, so we found out it's not, but it's on the edge of the property, so we need to remove the building first, which we were intending to do anyways. So we're going to go forward, and we revised the 3 quotes we had gotten for demo. And then we'll go ahead and remove the building, the current asphalt, and the fencing around that to clean up the property. In the spring, we'll be improving that lot as overflow prior to May, hopefully. The 3 quotes we got were from Casey Bertram for $18,999, Denny Companies for $36,500, and then Ray's Demolition for $13,500. So we did go back, we'd changed the scope a little bit, and we went back and asked those 3 to revise based on the scope, make sure we got apples to apples comparisons, and 2 of the 3 resubmitted or confirmed. So the quotes are accurate and up to date.
So Ray's is the lowest bid at $13,500.
Correct.
And the scope change was to remove the asphalt surface?
Yeah, two
property.
things. Originally, we weren't going to remove the asphalt surface. We were just going to pave over it. But looking at the engineering of how we're going to redo that lot, we're probably going to need to grade it a little different. So to do that, we either got to remove it now or later. We figured let's just do it now. So removing the asphalt and adding crushed stone in the interim. So were the 2 add-ons. So we went back and revised that, which increased the costs a little bit.
Mr. Vice President, I would like to make a motion to accept the raised demolition proposal in the amount of $13,500 for the demolition of the property located at 4940 Crawfordsville Road.
A second the motion.
So there's a motion and a second for the approval of Ray's for demolition of 4940 Crawfordsville Road for $13,500. All those in favor of that signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Approval of a quote for paving 1426 Main Street lot.
Yeah, so we had done all the other approvals, and then the 1426 was kind of hastily brought forward, so we weren't sure if we were going to get it in or not, but it looks like we're going to be able to hopefully squeeze it in by that December 15th. So Globe, it's a services contract, so we went back to Globe, who was paving the other 2 lots for us, and got a price on it, and would just like you to approve the price, which I believe was $12,035. So kind of an add-on to the current contract to get that done.
How soon are they going to be able to get started on that?
They gotta wait till the building's gone, so.
How soon are they going to be able to get started on that?
We're hoping the building, so we have removed, there were some asbestos panels on the exterior, those have been removed and disposed of. We have started the process for dislocation of all the utilities. Some of those are done, I believe, now or this week, so that's in process. And we have removed most items from the building. Tim and I got to do one more trip. Now that we have a new building to store it in, we got to move our last items. That we were kind of using that as storage on Main Street, so we had a bunch of stuff in there that we have to get moved over to 1330 in the interim. And then we got to move it out of 1330 into the other building once Bell gets in there, so it's a process. They're anticipating getting on Ray's calendar about December 1st or 2nd. It shouldn't take them more than a day or so to knock that down, and then they should be able to get in right after that for the paving.
Any other comments or questions for, on that?
Mr. Vice President, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation of our Economic Development Director's solicitation of the Globe Asphalt paving quote in the amount of $12,035 for the 1426 North Main Street location.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor of the approval of the quote for a Globe for $12,035 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. So I'm going to skip one. So consideration of the proposal for Main Street planters.
Yeah, so a few months back, we had approved a contract to purchase some new planters on Main Street for some of these lots we're building. Just one is we're going to restripe in front of the Yoga Latte lot to add a couple spots on Main Street, but we need to block off that. We come to an agreement with them to block off that entrance there, that curb cut. And then also with that lot, we're going to put a few planters. At 1346, we'd like to put a few planters, and then at 1426, we'd like to put a planter or two. So we had ordered those and received them, but there was a mix-up in the order, and we got the wrong planters. So we never ended up paying that invoice. But so we're going back to reorder, and we decided to go with the original people that did the Main Street planters this time. So we're recommending ordering 7 round pots with lettering that say Speedway Indiana. They're $1,350 each, and then with shipping, delivery, and the mold, it'll be about $12,000. So it's a pretty hefty amount. They're nice, they'll last a long time. And
So approximately how big are these?
that's a good question. They're just like the ones that are down there right now, so they're
Substantial.
2.5 feet tall and 36
Yeah,
inches
about
round, I
36,
think.
Yeah.
I think that's right, so. It's not cheap. But we have not, with these being temporary lots or so, we have not necessarily followed everything we need to, so they need a little bit of sprucing up.
Okay. Any questions or other discussion regarding this?
Well, what's the time frame delivery after receipt of order?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't have an
really-
answer for that. It's probably going to be several weeks to delivery. The last one took almost a month to get in, so.
Oh, okay.
Because they're all custom made.
Sounds like it's sometime after the first of the year.
Yeah, it'll probably be after the first of the year. So we probably won't plant these right away.
So,
Pun intended.
yeah, not a good idea to plant things and.
I was trying to think of something we could put in there during the wintertime, but
Snowman.
nothing.
Giant snowflakes.
Inflatables.
Hey, do we have assurances that they will not use this mold in any other community?
I would hope not. It'll say Speedway Indiana on
Well,
it, so.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, I think we're paying for the mold. It's our mold, so
Okay.
it's all custom for the client. So.
Any other discussion?
No, Mr. Vice President, I would like to make a motion that we accept the quotation from Smock Fansler Corporation for various pots to be placed in various locations along Main Street in the amount of $11,750 plus shipping.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
Do we pay sales tax on?
We
items?
don't, that was an
Okay.
error on the quote there.
Okay.
That works, Sam.
Well, yeah, well, we do not,
You're right.
so.
I know. Okay.
So I have a motion. Need a second. Rhonda.
Second the motion.
So I have a motion and a second for acceptance of the proposal for Main Street planters through Smock Fansler for $11,750 plus shipping. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. The next item on the agenda is approval of contract for due diligence services on 2500 High School Road. Mr. Groff, would you like to explain that?
Yeah, so we've been discussing 2500 High School Road for quite some time. We did an RFP for it quite a while ago. Since that time, we've done some more interviews with developers, and I think we're getting close to moving forward on that. Some of the items that came up during those interviews were that there's still, no matter what developer we pick in the long term, there's due diligence that still needs to be done. The SRC is in a more stable spot to kind of get some of that done now. For instance, site layouts, infrastructure cost estimates. We're going to want a PUD, planned unit development, zoning overlay to the site, working on that. TIF analysis based on those layouts. So we can really go and say, this is the vision of the town. Here's how much it's going to cost, removal of dirt. There's a drainage ditch that goes through that has to be addressed. There's going to be new road infrastructure. You might have to upgrade water and sewer. What's that going to cost? Is it $5 million? Is it $4 million? Is it $6 million? And then we analyze it based on the layouts that we've come up with, how much TIF will be generated over a certain amount of time, and then how much we can sell land for, and, does the amount generated offset the cost to be able to do it? And then we go to the developers and say, this is a feasible project or it's not, and we have to tackle this a different way. So doing some of the financial analysis, doing some of the infrastructure analysis, doing some of the zoning overlay analysis, and the layouts, we have two good proposals from two different groups, very similar proposals, similar costs to do all this work for us, and that's what we're considering this evening.
So the information that either party would pool together is typically needed for developers or to market your property properly?
Yeah, so we have bits and pieces done. We have Phase 1 environmental done. We have there was a traffic study done about a year ago at 25th and High School. There's been an infrastructure capacity study done, which helps knowing that you might need to upgrade your water or sewer, but until you know what you're going to put on the site, you don't know what your demand's going to be. So really defining what our vision is for it, instead of guessing and saying, here, Mr. Developer, come up with something for us. The proper way to do this is to say, here's our vision, here's our design, we want you to go execute it. So getting all that done, putting everything together in a nice packet and saying, here's all the due diligence you need, this is a feasible project, let's come up with an agreement. So.
And again, to be repetitive, a lot of parts of this we've already done.
There's parts of due diligence that have been done. There's missing gaps. We've done some conceptual layouts before, but we haven't really formalized what uses we really want to see there, what the vision is. We want to narrow that down. We kind of know some things we don't want there. We know about how much dirt's there. What do we want to do? Based on how we lay it out, you might leave some there. You're going to do an Alta map, you're going to do a survey, and you're going to know you're going to need some dirt to level this out, get it to a certain height. Here's how much is going to be left over. You could incorporate some of that into the design of the overall project, or you might have to remove it all, and that's going to be a big number. So yeah, it's putting all those pieces together and then filling in the gaps, basically. And we have some old Altas, but they were back when there was a hotel there or things, so we need to do a new one. And we just need to get some cost with this. Based on your layout, you're going to know how many linear feet of new road you're gonna have to build, how much sewer line you're gonna have to put in, how much water line, things like that, storm sewer, and then you can put a cost to that. So you know you're gonna have earthwork, you're gonna prep work to get it ready, then you're gonna have the development fees, and then does the cost of selling the land cover that? Or are you gonna have to take out a TIF bond on top of that, and then figure out if the deal's, you're able to do the deal or not?
So in other words, it gives us enough information, instead of a sophisticated wild-ass guess what it's worth, it actually puts down in dollars and cents what the cost would be and what the return on whatever goes
Yep.
in there.
And it's gonna let the developer know what kind of projects you want them to go market the property for, so they know that they're not going after one thing when you didn't want it in the first place, and they should have been going the other direction. So, yeah, this will give them a nice direction. It'll give them cost up front. It'll give them our vision, and it'll be everything we'd have to do anyways to move forward, whether we are doing it or somebody else does it, so.
So the final question I have, and then I'll open it up, is that trying to figure out what we want there, how does that happen?
So there's several different ways you can do that. This is contemplating some design charrettes, so getting the council and SRC together and kind of talking through different concepts that could potentially, do you want a big box? Do you want a hotel? Do you want housing? Do you want retail? What kind of retail? And get everybody to kind of come on to, this is what makes the most sense of this site. So brainstorming, and then, if these groups are good enough to know how to kind of guide you through and get you to where you want to be. So that's a good opportunity, having everybody in the same room to say, we don't want this, we definitely don't want this here, we're okay if this ended up here. And then they take all that and say, okay, based on what you wanted, here's how this would lay out. So, I don't know, Tim, did you have any comments on that?
That's accurate.
Okay.
So, we haven't discussed who the two people are that have placed bids.
Oh.
Go ahead.
So we received two proposals. They're very similar proposals, and both of them are very good proposals, well detailed, well laid out. One of them is from a team assembled by Veritas Group, Tim Jensen's company. Both of them bring in partners specializing in their different aspects. So Tim's firm is actually a civil engineer group, so he'd be handling civil engineer, Alta and topography maps would be bid out to American Structure Point. Financial analysis would be London Whitty, who does a lot of our TIF work currently. Legal hadn't really been decided yet, right?
So I'll be happy to address that. So,
Come on up.
So we were asked by a few members of the commission to put together a proposal, since we've been working with you guys for a couple of years and kind of contemplating this idea of what can go out there. And Tim already stated it very well, I think, in that you have a couple options here. And one is, do we let developers come in and put up what they want, or do you guys want to control it, right? And really is the last 20-plus acres in Speedway that's developable in a very prime location. This commission, in the past, has always said that they want to control it at some level. And so they'd already received a couple proposals from developers when Mr. Gropp and Mr. Noblet came to me and said, hey, could you put something together for us to consider? So we did that, trying to use the same players that we've already brought to the table before in context as the land planner, who we've done at least one charrette with, if not a couple. London Whitty Group, as Tim mentioned, who I know is intimately familiar with all of your TIF areas already, and this would just be a natural extension of what they would perform. We had saved some money aside for an attorney, but not included an attorney to date, yet we can do that. And then our group, I think, pretty cost efficiently can do the engineering pieces that are necessary to fill in those gaps that Mr. Gropp was talking about. So we do have some surveys, but it still shows old hotels there, right? And we've been involved in the conversation from the beginning with the gas stations that's out there, and of course the other properties that are there as well, back dating predating Tim, back when Ian was here as well. So that's what our team comprised of, and I don't even know what the other proposal looks like. I've never seen it. Don't really know what's in it. We do have a number from American Structure Point to complete the survey work that's out there as well. So we know we can deliver it. It's really up to you guys, what you guys want to do and how you want to proceed forward in that conversation. We'll be happy to answer any questions or talk to any of you individually if you need that, so.
So is there any questions for Tim?
How long do you think it would take to be substantially complete with something like this?
I do think with the holidays, I think you're about 8 weeks, really. I think with the holidays, it kind of adds in probably 2 weeks. This would normally be like a 6-week exercise, probably 3 weeks. And it depends on how active you guys really want to be and how many meetings we want to have with the planners to kind of really vet out what the plan wants to be or what you guys want it to be at the end of the day. So I would say 8 weeks at this point with the holidays and trying to schedule your public meetings or your even your sessions to do some shredding there. So it may be a little bit longer. I would say if we were to target today, if you guys were to say yes, my perspective is that it would probably be the end of January, early February to really kind of understand what that's going to look like. And then, again, based upon how many meetings you guys want, we could craft that scope and even refine it a little bit better for you.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
You mentioned the other one.
Yeah,
So it's a partnership between, actually one of the developers that we interviewed for the project came back and said, hey, really, this is step one. We'd be happy to do it for you. Hoping that in the long term is that there's a agreement there with the ultimate development. It's a partnership with a rebar development, Envoy Inc. and Hagman Group, the financing arm, and then they would bring in Context Design. Context was the other one. Context kind of works with either one of these. They're just really good at what they do, and a lot of people use them. So either way, we're going to end up with that group, most likely. And then Kinley Horn would be the civil engineer, Umbaugh, doing the financial, Umbaugh Associates doing the financial analysis, and legal services was left open again as well. Again, that's a great team as well. Both sides have solid partnerships put together. Both prices were almost identical, and both proposals were very similar. So either way it would go, we'd end up with a nice product at the end.
So any other questions about that or further discussion?
No, Mr. Vice President, it's such an important decision like this. I would really love to have the commission's president weigh in on his assessment, his thoughts, and I would like to move that we defer the decision on the selection of services until our next regular session meeting.
So I take it that's in the form of a motion.
That is in the form of a motion.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second the motion.
So there's a motion to table the agenda item in regard to the due diligence services on 2500 High School Road. All those in favor of tabling that to the next meeting signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. That opposed? That motion carries 4-0. We'll table that item for the
December 18th.
December 18th meeting. Old business,
No old business at this time?
director's report. I've talked enough. I
I was going to say, I think we've covered it. So.
The chamber.
Oh, yes, we do have an announcement, Rhonda.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody about the Speedway Chamber auction on Thursday, November 30th. It's at Delora. It's free for everyone to attend. There's a silent auction with a lot of great things to bid on. 50/50 drawing in a wine pool where everyone's a winner if you pay into that. And then on the 50/50 drawing, you do not need to be present to win. So it's a great event. There's food and I believe a cash bar.
Time.
Oh, sorry, 5:30 to 7:30, Delora, November 30th.
The chamber's still collecting items for the auction as
Yes.
well, so please contact us if you'd like to donate something to the auction. And this is their biggest fundraiser of the year, I believe,
It
so
is.
please come by. It should be a good time, and support the chamber. They put on a lot of events over the course of the year.
And finally, a reminder to Speedway residents or those outside of Speedway to support Main Street businesses during the construction phase of Wilshaw. I know they're challenged from parking, although I think we've done a pretty good job of providing some temporary parking solutions to help that along. But again, support those Main Street businesses as we go forward. With that, hearing nothing, the meeting is adjourned.